You're watching our special preview for Sunday's HKIR. And the 4 Group 1s, we're up to the mile. And last year's defending champion, Beauty Only, heads them. Zach Purton in the saddle has come up with barrier 12. Helene Paragon, runner-up in the lead-up to this behind Seasons Bloom, barrier 2. Contentment won a 2 in the race for John Sice. Sotono Aladdin won the Asuda Kinnan this year. Lightning Spear, back-to-back celebration miles for him in the UK. Seasons Bloom won the Jockey Club miles, the lead up here. Karan likes to go 40, he's come up with barrier 3. Beauty Generation has pace as well from barrier 9. Sichuan Dar, Western Express, and then 2 for Aidan O'Brien. Lancaster Bomber from barrier 11, and Roly Poly, the 3-year-old filly, a 3-time Group 1 winner this season, with Shamie Heffernan in the saddle. Before we delve into it in a little bit more detail, let's start off with last year's winner and Zach Purton. I caught up with him earlier in the week. Of course, Zach coming off a hot streak at Happy Valley as he took out the IJC. Zach, you're back with defending champion Beauty Only in the mile. Tell us a little bit about the horse, his quirks, his character traits. What's he like on race day or in the mornings?
You know, in the mornings I never ride him, of course. Tony Cruz gets his riding boys to do all the work there, but I do see him. He comes out on the track and he has a little bit of a play, kicks his heels up and flicks his tail around a little bit. On race day he's pretty chilled. He gets on his toes occasionally in the parade, but once again, once he goes out and the handle lets him go on the track, he'll kick his heels up and swish his tail and then he canters off and gets going. So he's tricky in that regard, but he's pretty straightforward. He's a lovely, nice, quiet horse, really.
It's difficult to have a relationship, a bond with every horse you ride. You're riding hundreds, thousands a year, but is there a special connection with him? I suppose you have him with Class 5 horses as well, but being as good as he is, do you have that connection with him when you jump on board?
Yeah, well, you got that affinity for him, you know. The better horses you seem to enjoy riding a little bit more than the others, but he's just a lovely horse to ride.
Yeah.
You know, apart from wanting to get so far out of his races, which can be quite frustrating, he's very straightforward. He never pulls, he never over races, he never does anything wrong. He's very similar in the way he presents himself in every race. So in that regard, he's pretty easy to ride. You just got to get the right tempo in the races.
Beauty Only sweeping up to hit the lead. Able Friend chasing. Still there, Joyful Trinity. Helene Paragon with a late burst. Beauty Only just in front. Joyful Trinity. Helene Paragon. It's Beauty Only's mile.
Do you have to, in that respect then, do you have to sit and suffer if he's just a little bit slow? You just have to think, okay, well, just give him time and just let him go at the top of the straight?
Yeah, there's not much you can do. He's not a horse that you can bustle too much early in his races, so you've just got to allow him to find his own rhythm and hope that the tempo allows him to run home at the end.
How have you felt the preparation's gone from this season with his prep runs coming in?
Yeah, I felt like he's been a little bit behind the 8 ball because he went to Japan. He had that little bit longer off coming back into this season. Being older as well, it's just taken him a little bit longer to come back up. He's been disappointing in his first couple of runs, but his last run showed that he's finally starting to get back to the form that we need to see him in. I feel that December may be coming a little bit too quick for him, but I'm just hoping that you know, if we can draw a nice gate, the track condition suits, we get the right tempo, we're still going to be some chance. Beauty
Only seems like a pretty good place to start then, Graham. Is it coming too soon?
Well, the direct quote from Zach Purton is an interesting one. I still feel December has come around just a little bit too quick. Initially, I was going to let that put me off. And then I remember Zach's quotes about his poor chances in the IJC. It is a worry that Beauty Only is 0 from 8 since last year's win. But he has been coming around steadily. He's almost certainly been trained to peak with this day in mind. He's had the Group 1 penalty a couple of times. I think he's going to get a strong pace to run at here. More of that in a moment. But if he does, he'll be coming home very strongly. And I think he might be able to back up. It's hard to take this away from Hong Kong. Only Morris has been able to take this race out of Hong Kong in the last 10 years. 10 horses within 5 pounds of each other. But on his very best form, Beauty Only is a major player.
All right, as the Aidan O'Brien runners, Kevin, Lancaster Bomber is very interesting in terms of his profile. He's only won 1 race, but he's run mighty races in any number of Group or Grade 1s, including last time out.
He has. Well, both of Aidan O'Brien's representatives here have had tough seasons, you'd have to say. You know, Lancaster Bomber started off on the dirt in Maidan all the way back in March. He's running the Irish Guineas, the English Guineas, Royal Ascot. He's been over to Canada. He's done it all, really. But to be fair to him, like so many of Aidan's do, he's holding his form quite well. You know, and circumstances haven't been great for him in his last couple of starts, but he's still acquitted himself well. And look, stall 11 here and stall 14 for Roly Poly. In the moment you think not great for 2 horses that'd like to go forward. But you look at the draw statistics here and they'll give you some encouragement, you know, just in terms of bare winners. 6 of the last 7 winners have been drawn in double figures. You broaden it out a bit to the placed horses over the last 18 years and you'd get plenty of encouragement that a wide draw is far from a disaster. You know, with horses that go forward, you'd ideally want to be a bit lower, but perhaps Beauty Generation can give the two of them a little toe across and they'll be able to slot in reasonably prominently. And I think the both of them are capable of running big races. Roly Poly has been a wonderful filly. Expectations weren't all that high for her this season because she was a very busy 2-year-old. Physically, she's not overly big at all, and she's not necessarily bred to improve from 2 to 3, but Aidan O'Brien managed to do it, and she's had a fabulous season. Last time was a disaster. She had a bad draw out in America and never really got a shot at them at all, but didn't have a hard race. I was hoping she might be drawn a little bit better than 14, but like we say, it's not the end of the world around here, and if she can hit the gates running and get forward, I think she's capable of running a big race. For both of those horses, a mile on fast ground is really what they want. So they have no excuses on that front at least.
Okay, and just the sole arrow here for Japan, Satono Land in very best form, would surely give him a chance.
Yeah, he's proven that he truly does like a mile, and the firm ground always does well. In his last 2 starts in Japan, it was the Tennosho Aki and the Mile Championship. The Mile Championship, while it wasn't as yielding as it was in the Tennosho, the ground had been cut up so badly, it really wasn't probably even that safe to race on. So you really can rule those 2 out. The unfortunate thing here is his draw. He is a horse who prefers the outside,
right?
And he likes to kind of set back and then swing wide. And so if you would like to trade, Roly Poly, we'll give you 4 and we'll take 14.
That would suit me just fine.
So unfortunately, that's going to be a big hurdle for him to overcome. So I'm sure Mr. Ike and Bowman will have some serious discussions on how to strategize in the race and figure out where they want to put him.
He's a spectacular looking beast, isn't he?
Before the draw, I thought he was guaranteed to win because the way he moves, he uses every part of his body. He is a beautiful animal.
And he did have Beauty Only and Contentment behind when he won the Yasuda Canen, didn't he?
He was absolutely fantastic, and I really thought that he was going to come in and do well. And I thought, well, maybe number 4 won't be so bad. But the look on their face when they got it, I was like, oops, no. And if you look at his form, you can see that quite clearly.
All right. Well, Hugh Bowman, he's ridden a few big winners this year, hasn't he? Japan Cup recently as well. Graham, just going back to some of the local runners as well. There's only a £4 spread here from top to bottom, highest and bottom rate. Season's Bloom is the one up and coming. The one
yeah,
coming
we
through
should
the race.
mention Season's Bloom. He was getting £5 from Helene Paragon and Beauty Only when he won the Jockey Club Mile. But he did it pretty well. He's got a good turn of foot, 3 weeks to back up. And in the past, he's not found it easy to string those big efforts together. He has to show a little bit more improvement. Helene Paragon, 2nd last year, slightly unlucky, never trials well, had 1 or 2 health issues, but they call him the Bulldog, and he is tough in a scrap. He should run well, and we definitely shouldn't rule out Beauty Generation because he's a high cruiser on the front end, and since he came back to a mile with forcing tactics, he has been a much improved horse. He's an up-and-comer in that division.
Speaking of forcing as well, Kara, any chance?
Draw has been kind. I think has a solid place chance, I think. Yeah, would be where I have him.
All right, okay. Well, again, into the moment of truth as far as the decision is concerned. Graham, you can lead us off this time.
I think this year's Longines Hong Kong Mile is a thing of beauty. I'm not sure which beauty, but I'm going to go for last year's winner, Beauty Only, over Beauty Generation, Satono Aladdin for 3rd, and Helene Paragon for 4th.
Kevin?
I'm going to stick with Roly Poly.
Right, okay.
With the draw.
3-year-old filly.
Should be a big price, won't she?
She's a surprisingly big price to me now. I think I expect her to be a fair bit shorter than she is.
Will this be a swan song as well?
Apparently not.
Okay.
Apparently not. They haven't made that official, but I believe everything that's here for Aidan O'Brien, bar Highland Reel, will be back next season. He's going to have a nice bunch of 4-year-old fillies, and I believe Roly Poly is going to be amongst them. So this won't be the last time we see her, all being well, but I think she'll make a bold bid here. She's on top for me. Season's Bloom, I've 2nd in, Lancaster Bomber 3rd in, and 4th Carrar. So I'm hoping for a big race for the Europeans here.
All right, and can you pull this off with just one runner, Kate?
Well, I think Satono Aladdin will be using all 3 of his wishes
to
try and get around his draw. But again, he's a heck of a horse, so hopefully he will get in there.
Put it all in the hands of Hugh Bowman there as far as his chances are concerned. All right, the Cup is up next then, and Werther, the big hometown, I hope we'll be hearing from his trainer, John Moore.